You gotta love the way, well, I'm totally meaning this in a disgusting, sick, kind of perverted way, but from that standpoint, you gotta love the way this guy's practically licking his chops on this picture. He's an embarrassment, this guy. We're gonna hear a lot of stuff that's going to make things, I think, start to put things into light. I think I'm seeing one of the major speed bumps for Biden coming up in the very near future. We're going to be talking about that. Also, some other news that really kind of shows that maybe President Trump's a little more in charge, or could be more in charge, or maybe even president, possibly soon. A lot of that. And I want to remind people that this whole thing, Klaus Schwab and all that stuff, it was always about the crisis. The crisis was meant to kind of mask the change that they needed to make, primarily the financial system. The financial system is in ruin. It is completely bankrupt. Just about every single country, I think, that don't have actual natural resources and stuff like that, are dying right now. It's because of the deep state. The deep state system is dying. So Biden, of course, is kind of referencing back to the Obama days and everything else, where don't let a good, actually goes back even further than that, but Rahm Emanuel was one they give credit to, but don't let a good crisis go to waste. What they're trying to do. Now, it's not going well, and Biden was an absolute and total embarrassment. We got a bunch of examples of that. So nothing's working out the way they want to. It definitely doesn't seem like they're actually in charge. All of this is sort of being shown to us. Tone-deaf Biden wants to spend $2.6 billion on global gender equality as Americans suffer. Now just think about that for a second on the surface level, right? Just on the surface, which is what most of the normies are going to look at this and see. They're going to go, wait. With all the things going on in the world right now, all the jacked up stuff that's happening right now, the fact that we had a male swimmer compete against women and just handedly destroyed them all, now the Biden administration wants to spend $2.6 billion on global gender equality, not for anything here in the United States, mind you, but for stuff elsewhere. He says, I'm proud that my fiscal year 2023 budget will request $2.6 billion for foreign assistance programs that promote gender equality worldwide, more than doubling the amount requested for gender programs last year. The president said, more than double what they requested. We're going to give you more. Why? This is not the most important thing on anyone's radar at all. And I want to say the thing that 800-pound gorilla in the room, whatever. It's another way to launder money, folks. Think about it. They're laundering this money. There's no question about it. That's what they've been doing. That's what this is an attempt for. They hide it in plain sight in stupid ways. Or if not, this is just an absolute waste of money. So Biden inflation, double-digit inflation for lunch items. Just pointing it out. It's kind of a stupid story. But sandwich wraps have gone up 18%. Sandwiches 14%. Salads 11%. Burgers are up 8%. You know, it's funny. A friend of mine was talking about how she went to a new restaurant, and she was telling me how she had lettuce. And I'm like, lettuce? Like a lettuce wedge? And she goes, no, lettuce. And I go, you mean like a salad? And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, well, why didn't you just call it a salad? Lettuce. A weird way to speak of a salad. Those are up 11%, though. I don't know what she paid. They paid a bunch of money. It wasn't very good, from what I understand. That's why we were talking about it. So, yeah, problems in the food market, and even making food at home, obviously, is getting more expensive. It just kind of drives home the point that, hey, Biden, you're really doing a bang-up job. And I mean that. You're destroying things with your bangs. So Russia and Ukraine have conducted their first soldier-for-soldier prisoner swap of the war. I guess they swapped out 10 for 10. 10 captured occupiers were rescued for 10 of our servicemen, they confirmed. So I guess Vereshchuk also said 11 Russian civilian seamen were rescued near the Black Sea port of Odessa. They were exchanged for 19 Ukrainians, civilian ship crew members, I guess, held by the Russian forces. So again, people, ships are being taken over. They're like, I don't know if you're good or bad, but you could have equipment on this ship, right? It could be the Love boat, or it could be, a spy craft. We don't know. They put stuff on ships like that all the time. Got another explosion that's happening, smoke billowing after a missile strike in Lviv. I don't know how to say it. It's a weird word, frankly, folks. You don't put L and V together. unless it's short or something for like level. But yeah, pretty bad. We don't know what's up. I've seen a couple stories. Apparently like 5 people died. I mean, even that I don't totally agree with or think is true. Not saying people didn't die. I'm sure they did. You got to admit, though, the darkness of the smoke, right? Like, was it a fuel depot? Was this oil? Like, something interesting blew up that is making quite the mess, but it's really hard to gauge how large it is. I couldn't see any stories that were telling what the actual facility was, which you'd think somebody would know. It'd be like, yeah, that's a big facility over there. But no, I haven't seen anything thus far. We'll see. Now, Tulsi Gabbard was on with Hannity, and I certainly didn't want to play all of it. It's a great interview, by the way. I think Hannity's an ass. No offense. For all you that love him, I apologize. Please give me a moment. But he is such a war hawk right now. Wants war, wants war, wants war. And then kind of hits on Tulsi Gabbard's little idea of, well, I don't think Russia's going, or I don't think Ukraine can win. And if we give more weapons to Ukraine, then we prolong the killing. And to a point, I kind of agree with her. The most humane point or thing to do at this point is to try to stop the war. Not try to go in and make it worse, which is what Biden's trying to do, trying to escalate, what Hannity's trying to do, trying to escalate. But she's right. And I want her words to kind of speak for themselves because I think she did a bang-up job. And again, I'm confused about Tulsi. I'll admit it. First off, she's not even on the typical side of the fence I tend to swing from. But on top of that, she actually took down Kamala Harris in a beautiful way. I know she was part of that World Economic Forum leaders thingy. And at the same time, she's come out and said a lot of pretty awesome stuff. A few things that are weird. It is what it is. Check it out.
Come to this.
Okay, Putin doesn't want to negotiate. Clearly doesn't want to negotiate. There's been many attempts at negotiation. So when you see images of dead women and children, and when you see neighborhoods blown out, hang on. You do not think we should provide them the weapons to defend themselves? I just want to know yes or no.
You're missing my point here, Sean, which is we've got to know what we're trying to accomplish, which is an end to this war. It is cruel to make the Ukrainian people believe that somehow they are going to win this war by prolonging it, and that's what you're talking about here. It would prolong this war, prolong the suffering, and end up causing more lives lost in the end.
If Vladimir Putin wanted to negotiate, he would have done it a long time ago. He's not willing to. And if he wants to use chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons, he's got to know that his entire country is going to be blown off the face of the earth. I pray to God we never get to that point, but that's always been a threat. And it remains a threat here, and we can't cower in fear based on the fact that we've had mutually assured destruction pretty much for all a lifetime. But I appreciate you being on. Good.
Now, I'm going to say, Sean is, first off, he's wrong when he says that he's not done anything. He's had opportunities to come out and try to stop this war. Yeah, he's tried. And Zelensky won't do it yet. Probably, I'm speculating here, but probably because the West, or us, like we just went out there on Friday one more time trying to see if we could escalate. So they keep telling Zelensky, hey, no, wait, we got this, man. We need to turn this into a war. And Zelensky's like, dude, I'm losing support. Yeah, just give us 5 more days, and we'll get this war going. All right. Zelensky's just doing what his puppet masters are telling him. But the problem is the military is not doing what Biden wants them to do, and it's not working out well for them. Finding out woke General Milley is powerless right now as the Kremlin refuses to answer his calls. Not just his, Lloyd Austin as well. Think about that for a second. Let that sink in for a moment. This guy, who claims to be in charge, and Lloyd Anderson claims to be in charge, nobody on the Russian side is taking their calls. Now, what is happening over there on the Russian side? Well, interestingly, he goes, so there are vehicles. We still have military-to-military communications with the Russians, but at the senior levels, where we think it's really important, particularly right now, that's not happening. And it's not happening because the Russians don't seem to be interested. Why aren't they interested? Why aren't the Russians interested in talking to these non-military people that claim to be in charge of the United States, but everybody knows are not in charge of anything? Why is it that no one wants to talk to them? I wonder. It's an interesting thought. Now, Mr. Biden and many of his horrible things he said, I mean, again, they're gaffes, I guess, but they're horrible, and they're having to get corrected. We're having to now put out corrections for things that the president, quote, the president of the United States is saying. We're putting out corrections. Biden's gang has to clarify the U.S. won't be using chemical weapons. Why did they maybe have that confusion? Well, the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that the U.S. has no intention of using chemical weapons. Why does he say that? Well, because after President Biden said in his administration would respond in kind if Russia uses such weapons in Ukraine. Biden said, if you use chemical weapons, as an example, I'll act in kind. Now, in his case, he actually might mean, I'll just be nice, don't worry. But normally what that statement means, and what he probably meant, is we'll respond the same way. And then they had to correct him. No, we're not going to use chemical weapons. No, sorry. No, that's not what he meant. It's not what he meant. Well, then why didn't he just say what he should have said? Joe Biden tells the troops in Poland they're going to Ukraine. The White House has to correct this statement. He was talking to the 82nd Airborne. Now, he actually did kind of say something funny that they're trying to kind of make him look like an idiot for. I actually thought it was reasonably funny. He was talking to Airborne, and there's a bunch of dudes that were kind of up higher up, and he's like, don't jump. It was actually kind of funny. That being said, that's the only points he got from me in, I don't know, at least a month. Every once in a while, he says something that's like, oh, that's not bad. That being said, Ukrainian people have a lot of backbone and they have a lot of guts. This is Joe Biden talking. And I'm sure you're observing it. And I don't mean just the military, which is, we've been training since back when Russia moved into the southeast Ukraine, but also the average citizen. Look at how they're stepping up. And you're going to see when you're there, and some of you have been there, you're going to see women, young people standing in the middle in front of damn tank just saying, I'm not leaving, I'm holding my ground. They're incredible, but they take a lot of inspiration from us. And women who just died, the Secretary of State used to have an expression, Madeleine Albright, by the way, used to have an expression. She said, we are the essential nation. It sounds like a bit of hyperbole, but the truth of the matter is you are the organizational principle around which the rest of the world, the free world, is moving. Now, he bastardized that whole quote, by the way. I don't really want to get into it, but essentially it's we are the indispensable nation is what Albright said in a very long quote. And again, at the same time, Biden's like, yeah, you're going in there, and you guys haven't been there yet. And then, unfortunately, they had to pull that one back, too. Whoops. You're going to see these people going in there. And then, of course, the White House had clarified with an update. At White House spokesman tells me, the president has been clear we are not sending U.S. troops to Ukraine, and there is no change in that position. After, once again, he's saying things that make no sense. Biden ends Warsaw speech on Ukraine with a call for a regime change in Russia. Again, this is a mess what Biden is doing. Close to speech. I mean, again, if you're talking about, it made me think. The main thing about this was like, well, I'm going to stop the war. And, he was talking about how he was going to bring America back together when he came in as president. And the first thing he starts doing is calling all of us names. Well, goodness gracious. That seems to be what he's fond of doing as his means of trying to unite people is to call them names because he's been referring to Putin as a murderous dictator and a pure thug. Now, sure, maybe those things are debatable for sure. I mean, murderous dictator, he is a dictator, I think, kind of, and he has been involved in killing a lot of people, but we think right now we're going after the deep state, and that is the predominant thing that's occurring is Russia is essentially taking care of their trash problem in their neighboring Ukraine, which is technically within the former Soviet Union and is still part of the former Russian soil or is part of Russia because they didn't properly fill out their paperwork with the national courts or with the UN or whatever. So Ukraine's not technically recognized as its own sovereign country. There's all these funny little things that seem to happen in the world that if you don't do them quite right legally, you're not really a country. So, yeah, I mean, Putin can be all sorts of things, but he seems to be taking out the trash in his local area. So we'll see what continues to play out in that regard. Now, of course, tell her I want to take her home, Creepster Biden says, Creeper-in-Chief says to the young Ukrainian refugee in Warsaw. Picks up the little girl and, I want to take her home. And, right, does anyone doubt that for a second? Creepy McSnifferton? Do you think maybe Snifferton, sniffer up, I guess, is possibly maybe going to take this little girl home and God knows what, slather her in butter? And he embarrasses us with this lady, too. What does he say to her? What does he say to her? He goes, Creepy Joe strikes again. Ask Ukrainian refugee, who do you owe those beautiful eyes to? Do you want to touch the hairs on my legs? Yeah, kids like it. They like to touch the hairs on my legs. I like your eyes. They're so cool. Who gave those to you? Can I have them? Biden's a trip. Now, I, of course, added a whole bunch of crap there. Who do you owe those beautiful eyes to? That's the quote. I'm just saying what was going on inside his head. That's all. That's all I'm doing. So, Fox News' Waters, Jesse Waters, right? Yeah. Hearing Hunter Biden will be indicted. This is the rumors on the streets. We've been hearing this for a little while. His prediction, and I don't know if I said it, but I've certainly thought this before, and I think I've seen a couple other people that are under this same impression. And if you think about how that's going to play out to the public, but he's predicting that presidential pardon's going to occur. So Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, going to get caught up in criminal stuff, criminal conspiracy stuff, probably tax evasion stuff, all sorts of things. And then Daddy Biden, president, is going to pardon his criminal son. Yeah, that's going to play out great. Imagine, first off, anybody on the right-leaning side of the fence and independent for sure are going to be like, what the frick? And then a lot of Democrats are going to be like, oh, that's messed up, right? I mean, how else can you respond to that? So we'll see, again, how this continues to play out. We're still expecting to hear from China. That seems to be dragging on way longer than I thought it would, but that might be a good thing. And it might actually relate to some of my suspicions that maybe Trump is a little more involved in things than maybe a lot of people want to realize. Now, one thing that's interesting, Hunter Biden's laptop apparently containing emails. This has been mentioned so flippin' much, and it keeps getting repeated. It's actually annoying the hell out of me. So, Dan, why are you repeating it? I guess I feel like we're supposed to keep this on the front burner. I hate repeating stuff. I really do. You guys know I don't like to repeat stuff. This is the Hunter Biden laptop. Has to do with Rosemont Seneca. Has to do with the fact that Hunter probably financed the biological weapons facilities. There's a whole slew of stuff that is going to come out around Hunter Biden, Rosemont Seneca, Hillary Clinton, the Obamas, the Bidens, probably the Romneys, all sorts of people are going to get Kerrys, are all going to get tied up in this. We're getting the drip, and it's starting to crack. The dam's starting to crack. We can see it happening. It's going to get bad. It's going to be awesome, actually, but yeah, they're starting to freak out. They're panicking. So this is coming. There's no way around it. They cannot stop what is coming. They just can't. Now, Elon Musk makes a very interesting post, and I think the conclusion that people draw is strange. Elon Musk posted a poll asking about the importance of free speech on Twitter. So he posted a poll on Twitter asking a very interesting question that we'll bring up in a second. And of course, this is the part that I'm laughing at. It's leaving many to wonder if he's getting ready to create an alternative. Why? He's the richest man in the world. Why not just buy Twitter and make it free speech? Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that be cool? Buy Twitter, make it free speech. That'd actually compete against Truth Social, let's be honest. That would be pretty crazy. Now, how he does that, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he just buys all the stock, or I don't know what the richest people in the world do, if they just offer somebody a bunch of money and go, take it or leave it because we're about to bury you. And that's probably true with Twitter, by the way, especially when Truth Social hits full steam. Their stock prices are going to drop like crazy, and they already have a bunch. Twitter's already gone down a crap ton. So I feel more like that when I hear of the richest man. Why rebuild it, right? Like, that's silly. So, again, very interesting. And then the post he tweeted, or the poll, Twitter algorithm should be open source. Yes, no. Now, that is powerful, because if it's a black and white algo like it should be, then cool. Everybody knows the rules. Level playing field, life is good. Problem is, we all know that's not true. It is not a level playing field. Some people get fined for all sorts of crazy things. Some people can say the same damn thing, but the opposite, and it seems to be okay. There's a double standard without a question. And yes, free speech is essential to a functioning democracy. Musk was 100% right on the money when it comes to that. Federal judge in Dems' case is to get Trump's tax returns. And they said something also very interesting, that he could become a sitting president again. Federal appellate court judge who is considering whether former President Donald Trump must be forced to hand over his tax returns to Congress hinted on Thursday that he could wind up in the White House again, and that could be a factor in the outcome of the case. Not just that, I almost wonder if they're saying he might come in sooner than just 2024, even though they hide behind the 2024 narrative. Okay, could be. But he says, we have a situation that involves a sitting president and a former president. If this drags out, for all we know, he could be a sitting president again, Judge Karen Henderson of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit noted. The judge made her remarks during a hearing as part of a 3-judge panel examining whether a lower federal court got it right by tossing Trump's attempt to block the White House Ways and Means Committee from getting access to his personal and business tax records from the IRS. So, interesting little play on this. And the way she speaks it is also very interesting. Apparently, Trump is polling very high, and that was kind of some of what she was speaking of. He is polling at 49% compared to Biden's 46%. He outpolled, Kamala, 42%, and Hillary Clinton, he's outpolling her 51 to 41. Now, again, you have to kind of almost know these poll numbers have to be crap. This has to be apparently it's McLaughlin and Associates. Not a poll I would trust because these numbers are insanely high. No way Biden's polling a 46, please. Please. And Trump's actually probably well over 49. I wouldn't doubt that at all. And Hillary Clinton, I can't imagine her polling 41% right now either. She's horrible. So Trump Hotel D.C. is going to be sold to a group including a former baseball star and become a Waldorf Astoria, which, great name, right? But what jumped out at me, we've all heard the rumors about D.C., right? Whether or not that new White House, whether or not he goes back to the old White House, maybe Washington, D.C. gets changed when the Constitution shifts happen, when Trump comes back. There are so many weird oddities that need to get resolved in the big picture. But it brings the question to me, which is, if I don't think D.C. is a great place to be, then I would sell my investment, right? And if I thought it was a great place to be, wouldn't I probably hold on to that investment because it might go up in money and value? Now, again, he got $375 million, or at least that's the bid we're hearing about. And that's supposedly $200 million is what he spent when he flipped it, when he took the old place and renovated it, right? So sounds like he made a pretty penny, almost doubled his money. I'm sure the Dems are going to lose their shit over that, but yeah, more power to him. So President Trump and his adult sons are now being deposed in yet another deep state garbage lawsuit involving The Apprentice now. The Apprentice! They have nothing. Literally, now they're going, yeah, you were on a TV show and it seemed like you were peddling some different vitamins, and there's a few different things they had problems with. They felt he was peddling. I'm trying to find it here. 2 adult sons, they're busting him for the Celebrity Apprentice and other events to promote several alleged marketing scams, is what they're calling it. Those listed are teen marketing company ACN Opportunity, the vitamin and health marketing company Trump Network, and a seminar program called Trump Institute. The lawsuit alleges that Trump has sought to enrich themselves by systematically defrauding economically marginalized people looking to invest in their educations, start their own small businesses, and pursue the American dream, and he deliberately misled consumers about the likely success of their investments. The suit further claims that the Trump engaged in a pattern of racketeering activity and were aware of the vast majority of consumers would lose whatever monies they invested in the business opportunities and training programs offered by these 3 companies. Problem is, the suit is funded by the Tesseract Research Center. Okay, that's a group that has ties to the Democrat candidates, no surprise to anybody. But one thing we are finding out is the president, these companies aren't even his. There it is. President Trump's attorneys claim that they didn't even own the companies that are listed in the case. Literally the case that they're saying they racketeered for, the Trump family didn't own. They were using the name probably, sure, but they didn't own it. And maybe someone bought advertising on the program, The Apprentice, and was pushing this crap because of Trump's name, and they were probably deep state people, let's be honest, but they weren't even Trump's companies. Again, that's a crap lawsuit. So before Trump was president, you may not have known this, there were reportedly 1,450 lawsuits against him. Now the list of current civil and bogus criminal investigations is down around 40. Wow. I think he said somewhere that, 250 million? Some insane numbers of millions of dollars he's had to spend in lawsuits. I mean, now you can see it. That explains it. And I'm sure there's a bit of a write-off for all of that. So, Trump's new lawyer. We have another suit that's going to be filed shortly. Remember, we heard about the lawsuit. He's going after Hillary Clinton and all these people, right? Well, there's another one they're saying next week. His attorney, Alina Habba, announces a new lawsuit will be filed next week. So if I can find the cool part. So, Grant Stitchfield. So does it stop here with the lawsuit, or is there more to come from you, the legal team, and or President Trump? Attorney Alina Habba, there's more to come. There's more to come. There is more to come. I'm so proud to be working on to right some wrongs that have been done to a really great president. History will serve him so well. You'll see. I'll be back on your show next week. We have another suit that will be filed shortly, and anybody who's going to try to make up malicious stories about this president is going to be sued. We cannot stand back and allow that behavior. They're going after him. All these people that have been making up all this nonsense. You can't just slander people like that. I can't wait till he goes after Pelosi, Schumer, Pencil Neck Schiff, right? These people have been bad-mouthing him from day one and making stuff up. Not legal. So we'll see how things continue to play out. President Trump's headlining tonight, I believe. 26, yes, Saturday. Headlining a Georgia rally, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, folks. Eastern Time or 4 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be probably right after I post this, but so most of you guys, when you're watching this, it's already happened. I'll be talking about highlights from it, I'm sure, tomorrow, so you can be sure to check that out. But he's going to be out there endorsing Georgia gubernatorial candidate David Perdue, Senate candidate Herschel Walker, and Rep. Vernon Jones. Woo! And remember how he got them to kind of switch places? Remember how Vernon Jones wanted to be, Senate or governor? Yeah, Senate. And I think he got him to run for some other district or something like that, the House or something interesting. And now all of a sudden, Trump's like, we've got our perfect harmony. And so Trump is working behind the scenes and doing some major work. So yeah, David Perdue's taking on Rhino Governor Brian Kemp, who obviously failed to do anything appropriate in 2020. So this is big times. Big times. It'll be probably a very, very good one to listen to because Georgia is major battleground. So make sure you're checking that out. Utah lawmakers are overriding governor's veto and pass a bill to protect women's sports. This is fantastic. The governor, Spencer Cox, I guess, he vetoed a bill that would ban biological males from competition against women in school sports. Utah, we need you guys to get your shizzled together, please. I am, once again, to all of my Latter-day Saints friends out there, please help get your state back in order. This is awesome that they overrode it and then overwhelmingly supported the bill. So that says a lot. We need to get this Spencer Cox guy the hell out of there. We also need to get the other bastard, this guy, out of there as well. Now, fortunately, Mitt Romney could be getting primary challenger from a Trump ally. So it looks like my prayers are being answered. It looks like Joseph Smith is stepping up to the plate to help us out because we need a little bit of help in Utah right now. And getting this guy out of there and getting that governor out of there, huge. So the fact that we're bringing in someone else, Sean Reyes, is considering a run for the Senate in 2024. This would set up a primary between him and Mitt. Mitt's going down. Bye-bye, Mitt. You're going down, big guy. Judge throws out Maryland's abusive Democrat gerrymandering congressional map. We've had a couple different states that pushed their stuff up, and it was supposedly a mess. Well, it looks like Maryland's got kicked back, too. Judge tossed out the state's abusive Democrat gerrymandering congressional map. The limitation of the undue extension of power by any branch of government must be exercised to ensure that the will of the people is heard, no matter under which political placard those governing reside, is what the judge said. The 2021 congressional plan is unconstitutional and subverts the will of those governed. Bam! Obviously giving preference and power to specific groups, which is not really okay to do. The new districts which were drawn by the Democrat-denominated legislator and passed over the veto of Republican Governor Larry Hogan, could result in an 8-0 sweep for Democrats in the state blue-leaning years. 7 districts in the state are solidly Democrat, while the lone Republican-held district in Maryland, the Eastern Shore seat currently occupied by GOP Rep. Andy Harris, was converted from a Republican vote sink into a hyper-competitive district. President Joe Biden carried the new version by less than a percentage point in 2020. So they're not letting it happen, mainly because they're, again, getting rid of the one Republican stronghold, and that's not okay. So we're making progress, folks. Now, I wanted to give Eric Greitens a chance to speak up a little bit about all the crap he's gone through. He had like 3 points. This is really long overall. So I got into the point where he starts talking about these 3 points. And I'll be honest, I haven't listened to the whole thing. But I wanted to give the guy, he's being attacked hardcore. Karl Rove and Mitch McConnell really supposedly had some sort of cahoots against him. Now, that hasn't fully come to surface. We're hearing rumors and all sorts of stuff. I'd like to see what's legitimate, because a lot of it seems kind of like a he said, she said sort of thing. But, well, that's funny. I'd say a he and a she. I'm not sure which is a she, Karl or Mitch, in this particular case. But, man, you can decide that. Not my problem. Just my problem talking. But anyways, let's listen to Greitens and his 3 things and then whatever else he's got here. Check it out.
Number 1, all of these accusations were written, notarized, and distributed to the press in Washington, D.C. while I was with my boys. Number 2, we now know that Karl Rove was directly involved with this. Karl Rove, the mastermind of Rhino Dirty Tricks. And number 3, we now know that they took all of these accusations and they handed them directly to people who work for Mitch McConnell's Senate Leadership Fund. And here's what's absurd. Everybody knows, and everybody who's seen me with my boys knows I love my boys. And more importantly, my boys know that I love them. And I'll ask you, it's so clear how obviously false these are. They're claiming that these terrible things happened 4 years ago. Well, just 2 years ago, we set up our joint parenting plan. And here's what's in the parenting plan. This is the parenting plan that my ex-wife, the mediator, and the court all agreed was in the best interest of the boys. And that is that the boys spend the majority of their free time with me. They spend it with me, their dad. They're with me all summer. They're with me all Thanksgiving break, all spring break, winter break. They're with me every holiday weekend, on Memorial Day, on Labor Day, on President's Day, on Columbus Day. They're with me every holiday weekend. And that's in addition to time that I spend with them on school days and weekends down in Texas. Now I ask you, does that make sense to you? That my ex-wife, the mediator, and the court, who they're claiming now all of these horrible things happened, that they would have said, actually what's best for the boys is that they spend the majority of their free time with their dad. It's obvious nonsense, but this is what they do. In the very moment that the truth has finally come to light after 4 years of their false case that they're...
All right, well, I love what he's doing, don't get me wrong, but yeah, he loves his family. And again, it's beautiful that he's fighting for his family the way he is. To my understanding, his wife has dropped her case against him. It says that, I believe, Sheena Greitens decided to drop the allegations this week with the GOP primary approaching on August 2nd. So they're saying it's baseless. I don't disagree. And he's being attacked, and for a very strong reason. Eric Greitens is obviously someone that's willing to fight for America first. And that doesn't work well for people like Mitch McConnell or good old Karl Rove. Has to bring his own whiteboard when he goes on Fox. I mean, the guy's just a piece of work. This is actually powerful. And it's probably different than you would initially think, right? Here's Jenner and whatever the hell his name is. Caitlyn Jenner issues epic judgment on Leah Thomas swim. Get ready for the fireworks. They are starting to turn on each other now. God, he looks horrible as a woman. I mean, I don't know if he looked good as a dude either, but whatever. That being said, here was Caitlyn Jenner's post that's going to go viral. Probably get her booted off Twitter, right? We'll see. I mean, she's Caitlyn Jenner. He, she, whatever, right? But at Governor Ron DeSantis agreed. She is the rightful winner. TMZ is not transphobic or anti-trans. It's common sense. And that was speaking about Ron DeSantis denouncing the transgender swimmer. Caitlyn Jenner backed Ron DeSantis against letting a man compete against women. This is a former Olympian. He is a former athlete and also someone that's gone through the change. I would say if anybody's got a solid opinion on it, I'd want to listen to Caitlyn, Jenner, whatever. Right? I don't mean to be disrespectful. I don't understand it, but I'll be honest, if I was living with the Kardashians as well, I'm pretty sure I'd be screwed up beyond all belief. I mean, right? Kanye West, isn't he married to one of them? He's a mess too. Richest man in the world, practically one of. I mean, he's a billionaire. He's not one of the richest by any means. So that's going to start some major fireworks. Another thing that's triggering people on the left, which is always good times. This 5-time MLB All-Star Manny Machado? I don't know. I hope I'm saying that right. That's sad, I know. But he's rocking his Let's Go Brandon t-shirt here at the Padres spring training camp. Manny Machado. Machado? Probably Machado, huh? It's a Che. Yeah, Che. Probably Machado. Anyway. Sorry, Manny. I know how to say that part. That being said, yeah, he's getting a lot of attention for wearing its Let's Go Brandon shirt, and you got to love him for doing it. So thank you, brother. Again, folks, a lot's happening. It's happening quickly. The deep state's trying to do what they're trying to do, but they're losing it. It's not working. They're using the same tactics over and over.